Chautauqua, for Norman Morrison, died November 2nd, 1965, protesting American bombing in Vietnam, and for Emily, his daughter. One thing to sing for a soldier or lover, another for you who helped quicken me to life, walked the tiny hills and valleys of Palestine at Chautauqua and made Judea real. Once we walked that miniature replica of the Holy Land and went from the Dead Sea up to Galilee in 15 minutes. You, a 12-year-old in a shirt and tie, naming the dahlias on the western border, and in the middle, Nazareth, Jerusalem. The Jordan flowed a 2-foot-wide stream of blue and a single bridge over it. Warm air trickled. Years later, the American government sent troops to Vietnam, and the world looked at you in the newspaper. And I had a friend, and he will always be slightly older, and go down from Jerusalem in the foliage of Siloam's pool, the flux of gardens. Around him children will gather in leaves, what the air renders of summer, what the wind. I listened to some obscure mixing of history and memory. The mainsail billows with the wind over the tiny hills and valleys of Palestine, and the lightning heels over so far, I'm frightened the boat will founder. Johnson sends Marines to Da Nang. You reach down, set the Nazareth sign back upright, kick sand off the path. Dean Rusk holds a news conference. I buy a newspaper on the steps of the Union in Ann Arbor, light blowing November snow. For days afterward, your picture appears on classroom walls as everyone talks about how you drove to Washington from Baltimore with your year-old daughter, went to the river entrance of the Pentagon, and stood in the stream of office workers ending their day. At Chautauqua, you conjure Bible stories from the charred wood of a campfire, dream of attending seminary to understand Jesus, rush back from the lake to be with your mother in late afternoon, how the hands of others flutter over a young child's head. How you would write in the sand with your finger or spit there and recall John. See how I know still the story of men who could not see, how a blind man washed his eyes and came back seeing. He came back seeing, though born blind. I see you in white shirt and loose tie walking the bridge over the Jordan. I see you sponging water from the bilge as we return to the buoy, calmly securing the mooring line as I try to unclip the dinghy. I see you on the grass outside the amphitheater listening to Bach's B minor Mass, your eyes oblivious to the brown bats that flit from the roof. I see you in a meeting house rising to speak about Abraham and Isaac in an empty world. I see you getting out of an old Cadillac in the Pentagon parking lot. You wrap your daughter in a plaid blanket, carry her under one arm, a gallon jug hung from the other. No one stops to speak. The river tinged gray, eastward slough time slow, then fast, windows alight in the squat cement building. You climb up the parapet, stalks of crimson weed flower isolated on the green-brown grass. She cuddles against your sweater, reaches a fist to your chin. You put her down, take a few steps, put the jug over your head, and pour. She smiles at the flame, kicks off the blanket, gaps in the cloud above, splinterings of flame, coughing. A colonel runs up and throws you to the ground. She cries. A woman picks her up and sways. You struggle to your feet, cup your right hand over your ear, your other aflame above. In the Potomac, brown weed, bits of cardboard, white-sheared wind over Chautauqua burns against the mainsail. Hundreds of people crowd the parking lot, the cement walkway. You lie curled with your head almost touching your corduroys. She stares up at a stranger in dusk as all Washington lights up the river. If I had known, pulling the mainsail taut because you told me, I would have pulled myself closer, touched your hand, asked why you would bring your daughter to Washington in a distant November. Did you, like Abraham, think you knew what you had to do and go to the mountain with your child? Or did you have her with you because that was one of the days you cared for her and did so for the remaining hours of your life, knowing someone would bring her home afterwards? Whatever. She was in the car seat beside you when you drove past the refinery's flaring gas near Baltimore, when you turned the ignition off in the Pentagon lot. You forgot how a child looks up at her father. Oblivious and wild for peace, you breathed close to murder, then put her aside to change our history. Now, 25 years later, I lay down here the only truth I know, these words you speak. I wanted so much. I wanted to stand against my country when it napalmed children in a Vietnamese village. My daughter watched me burn myself by the Potomac. I wanted to brush and brush again her hair, to give her a home, a full pleated dress with a white sash, a just country. I wanted her to be able to walk to school unafraid, protected by a global nation, for her to play dolls with friends of all colors, her wide eyes startling even me. She nearly broke, nearly burned in my arms. I wanted her breasts to grow firm, grow round. I wanted the wind off Chautauqua forever and over again, for her to put up sail and strike it, the reach of a light breeze carrying her to the buoy. Wanted her to walk the miniature replica of Palestine with children, stand by the Jordan, and go down in the foliage to the path where a blind man washed clay from his eyes and saw because he believed.